Good morning. Good morning. You could hear that little tink on the kennel door. She jumps up as soon as I start recording. Oh my God! I don't even have the headset on. It's way over here. Good morning. Good morning. I'm sorry. I thought about making a video calling it Breakfast with Dr. Kent and maybe starting that, but it's really not. It's really not very appealing to watch somebody when they eat. That's why the first date should never be really lunch or dinner unless you really know that it's a no-go anyway. Okay. I'm going to be waxing poetic here for a little bit, so if you tuned in, we are over 700 subscribers. That's very good. We need to sell Bibles and we need to read Bibles. That's all there is to it. The country is waking up slowly but surely, and we need to be ready for that. And I guess Bibles are selling like hotcakes. I'm not seeing it just yet. It might be happening, and they just haven't caught up with me and told me. That would be wonderful. I am sitting here broke down with a massive bill, and the tow truck company that did the damage is they're not nice people, is what everybody says about them. So they're not communicating with me, and they've done a whole lot of damage. I mean, this is enough to put me off the road and keep me off the road, or make me homeless, which I hate to say. I don't even want to utter that. But I know Yahweh's got a plan for me, and I'm going to travel the country, and I want to visit with a lot of you people out there. Now, Richie from Boston, RFB2, he's a nice guy. He's younger than I am. He's a believer, and he's a real honest man. He's done some time. He's really honest about that, and he travels the country. He's got quite a few subscribers. He's been on YouTube quite a while. He's earned every bit of the subscriber base he has, for sure. And what Richie from Boston does is he has a fundraiser, and his fundraiser is predicated upon him traveling and visiting the 10 highest donors of his fundraiser. And I think it's a good idea. So if you think that's a good idea for me, let me know. Richie drives around in a SUV or a truck or van or something like that. It's a smaller rig than I have. And he is staying in hotels, which is quite expensive. I prefer to sleep in my own bed. Not that some of these hotels aren't nice, but they aren't all nice. And they're actually very expensive because the Biden administration in particular blew up the cost of housing for us all. It still hasn't come back down yet. I'm hoping that Mr. Trump will take actions along those lines. If you see an advertisement, especially from a beautiful young woman, made up and all that, saying, "I'll buy your house," remember, she's representing BlackRock. She's going to buy it and resell it. It's going to end up in BlackRock's hands. BlackRock, not a good organization, not a good outfit, has damaged the country tremendously by inflating the cost of housing to the point where the average person can't afford it. They have distorted the markets. It is absolutely horrible. And I love these black men that are bringing up and pointing at the Jews for using them against us and against themselves and against our Constitution, against the whole nation. And Tucker Carlson, I wake up and finally Tucker Carlson, 16 million followers, says there should be no Israeli dual citizens in government. That's right. There shouldn't be any Israeli dual citizens on our soil, period. We need to kick their asses out. You want dual citizenship? You may have it. You will leave the country and you will never come back here again, period. That, or we round your asses up and we make sure nobody sees you again. And it was the Jews who came up with the final solution, not Adolf Hitler. And that's what they're doing to the people in Gaza right now. It's the final solution. And we have had opportunity after opportunity on this planet, not just in this nation, to do better for everyone, and we have failed to do it. I don't like that. Now, what Tucker Carlson really needs to tell you is about the 13th Amendment, the original 13th Amendment, which is what I really want. Now, this is a prime day for me because it's my birthday and it's a prime number, and I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm just going to tell you it's not divisible by any other number. Prime. I want you to buy one of my Bibles. I want you to ask your friends, are you a believer? And if you're convinced they're a believer, then just tell them, look, I got this channel. I'd like to share it with you. But he's very protective. He doesn't want anybody subscribing who's not a believer and who finds his presentations antagonistic. And he doesn't want any infighting in the comments. We don't have much of that. There were a lot of bots early on, but they seem to have fallen away. They did their best they could to discourage me, and a lot of those bots were from the United States Army. Yeah, they wage war on the internet with us, just like the Israelis do with their what is that, 802, 801, or 800? They've got this special task force where all of these Israelis join up and gang up on us and attack us, to deflate us, to undermine us, to demotivate us. Look, one thing my mother said I had was tenacity. And if I didn't have tenacity, I would not have made it here. I wouldn't be alive today. But my tenacity is only limited by how many breaths I have. And I know I don't have that many breaths left. I know that. I also know that the technology is there so that I could go longer, much longer. That's not that important to me. Well, I mean, this life might be getting much better. It might become a lot of fun. It might become heaven upon earth. We might actually establish the kingdom of heaven upon the earth. I want you to understand that George Washington's biggest mistake was the approval of the synagogue in Rhode Island. It was because of his letters approving it that we ended up with them, and I'm going to say them broadly because not all Jews are the same. Please realize that, and I'm going to try to explain this to you in detail today because it's my birthday and I'm going to give you a gift. And President Trump's going to receive a gift from me as well because Alaska Natives have a tradition. We don't receive gifts on our birthday. We give gifts on our birthday. We celebrate it. And I remember I showed up at a birthday celebration, and I got a brand new pair of socks. Now, you might not think much of that, but believe me, fresh socks, that's one of the most wonderful. I love putting on fresh, clean socks. That's all there is to it. They make me feel almost like a white man. I know. For a minute there, I almost felt like a white man. That's the joke, you know. Folks, you have to desensitize. You have to learn how to laugh at yourselves. These black gentlemen that are coming up telling us the truth about their discovery of the Jews owning the slave ships out of Providence, Rhode Island because of George Washington. And we were stuck with them because George Washington had to wear his little apron and he had to be a member of a secret society backed by the secret, not the Jews, by the way. Let's call them what they are. Our educated brothers in the Middle East, the guys who wear the hats and are at the top of their, I want to say, not quite food chain, but they're at the top of their society. They're at the top of their religions over there. They call them Khaza, Khaza. Now, there was a fellow who was alive, and I tried to check up on him recently, and his name was Mike, what the heck was your last name? Harris. He ran for governor in Arizona, did not make it. From there, he moved to Oregon, lived there for a while, and then he went up to Canada and resided in Canada. I got word recently that he's passed away. Now, Mike Harris is the one that gave us, and especially veterans today, they acknowledged him, and I acknowledge him. He called them the Khazarian Mafia. Khazarian Mafia, the Khazars, the ancient country of Khazaria, were Satan worshippers, and they loved doing identity theft. And they pulled a lot of the technology out of the Oracle of Delphi, especially the poisons, the pharmacopoeia and the antidotes, and, hired hands, hired hitmen, if you will, and identity theft. Because when a merchant came to Khazaria, what they would do is they'd get together and they would all come in. The tradition in the old days, the tradition was if a stranger was traveling, you invited him into your house, you took care of him, you took care of his animals. I mean, it was considered an honorable tradition of great honor. And that's what they did. And unfortunately for the poor people that went through the Khazaria, they sat there and got wined and dined and doped up, drugged up. And the next thing they know, they were dead. And what happened? The Khazarians who killed them, who murdered them, would assume their identities and would continue traveling on with the same goods and make money off selling their goods. Usually they went to the Orient, pretending to be so-and-so. Or they would come from the Orient, and they would take their places. So that's how the identity theft started. Not completely, but it's part of it. And you need to understand that the people in Khazaria were Satan worshippers. They worshiped Molech. They worshiped the Baals. Their symbol was a stylized owl on a banner. That's what they went to war under, the sigil, S-I-G-I-L, of the Khazarians. They loved going to war. They loved war so much they had a standing army, and they hired their army out. And for some reason or other, they ended up associated with the Babylonians, the mystical religions, the horrible religions. They also seem to have actually assimilated the most evil from all of the previous cultures. The most evil from the Egyptians, the most evil from the Babylonians, and the most evil from the Israelites. Yes, there were problems with the Israelites, especially King Solomon. I do not understand it fully. None of us. Anybody who says they understand everything and it all, get rid of them. You want somebody who says, look, there's limits to what I have for knowledge. I have limits. If you can correct me, I will embrace it, and I'll be grateful to you. If you can add to it, or give us the other angles, the other perspectives, I will entertain. I'll entertain having you on the show even. But I would like to. I haven't done this yet. Now, I would love to get a hold of Richie from Boston and ask him, how do you set this up? Because I want to set it up. And I want to travel and I want to visit. And I want to meet brothers and sisters, because the most fun I have, the most joy I have, is when I'm talking with fellow Bible readers, people who know it, people who have cultivated the Holy Spirit, because they're going to share with me something I do not know. They're going to enlighten me. They're going to edify me. I became a psychologist because I wanted to work. I wanted to support myself. That was the real reason for it. I didn't realize a couple of things. I didn't realize how screwed up I was. And even when I became a psychologist, I was still lacking until I got the wind taken out of my sails. I got humbled. I got totally hobbled. I suffered 2 strokes in 1 year. And as a result, I turned to the Bible. And I read the Bible. I had read all the books on my shelves in my libraries, and I had read the references those referred me to. So I was pretty well read, but not as well as some people that I know of that are on the internet that I'm like going, whoa, baby, they spent some time in the books. But I focused on the Bible. and some of the extra biblical books, but those are, were, and will be secondary. And as a result, I got some healing. From reading the Bible, I got healing from my stroke so I can actually have a conversation. My mind is not as strong as it once was. My forward and backwards digits are not as strong. I had no idea what I had. And I've lost my arithmetic, mathematical abilities, and geometric abilities. I was an intermediate, excuse me. Oh. I was an intermediate West Coast swing dancer. I loved it. And I lost all of the moves that were behind my head. The fancy stuff with arms and all that just became spaghetti to me. And everybody was expecting that I was going to become an advanced dancer. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I loved doing it, man. It was a gas. I learned a lot about myself doing that because I couldn't lead. Yeah, that's the status of men today. We can't lead. And I had to close my eyes and give that rough order to the woman, to the unsuspecting partner on the other side. I'll be damned. She did it. I just had to close my eyes and pretend not to accommodate everything about her. You know, my mother raised me to be ultra simp, not just super simp, but ultra simp. Mom told me, you will give up your seat for a woman. As a matter of fact, if she's across the bus, you will get up and you will walk over, you will take her by the hand, and you will lead her to your seat. And you won't argue about it, you won't offer it, you will take her to your seat and make sure she takes your seat, you know? She didn't say all that, okay. She also told me it's your job. Every woman you meet, you have to give her a compliment. Okay. Even if you have to make something up. Then she would have stepped further. I'm not making this up. Even if you have to lie. And of course, I'm a little boy, maybe 7 years old, 6 years old, going, ooh, I got to tell a lie? Lorraine, lay down. Lay down, sweetie. She doesn't want to obey me on that. She wants to go outside. What did I say? Lay down. Down. No, I'm not letting her outside while I cannot attend to her, period. Lorraine, what did I say? Kennel, down. She's not going to lay down on the rug next to me. She's going to go in the... What did I say? Down. She likes a good, clear lead. She doesn't want ambivalence. She doesn't want namby-pamby orders. She wants a clean, clear order so she knows what to do. In dancing, it's the same way. She wants a clean, clear lead order signal with the hands, with the voice, you know, just turning the hands or even flipping one's head. She needs, or part of one's body motion. She needs that. And it's wonderful. And of course, the advanced dancers backled me all the time and teased me, not letting me have the lead. And they were laughing their asses off and having a good time. And they were advanced dancers. And I mean, they actually were helping me because by doing that, they were forcing me to, hey, buddy, man up. Man up. You don't get this connection unless you take it. You don't get to lead unless you command it. Anyway, I recommend if you're a man that you do some dancing to learn about yourself. I did it because I wanted to pick up chicks, right? And I discovered, no, I liked it. I liked the music. I liked the communication. I liked the fact that we were doing this question, answer, this call and response. We were working together on something. Because in our society, men and women stopped working together. And here I am. We're actually working together on the dance floor. Now, mind you, we probably can't have a conversation after the dance without causing some trouble, maybe. But if we just shut up and dance, it's good. And I danced with some devout feminists. I mean, they didn't like men. They hated me. They just hated men in general. But of course, the interesting thing is that such women, when they danced with our dance teacher, Robert celebrated his anniversary with his lovely wife the other day. They loved dancing with Robert because he always made them look good. He never gave them ambivalent cues or anything. He was such a good, precise lead that they loved it. And I can't blame them. He's so much better than I ever was or will be. I gave it up because I got COVID during a dance workshop. And it was a snake poison, just to make sure that's the variant I had. I've been told by people who are in the know, that know more than I, that it actually was genetically put into that system. It was an offshoot of, that horrible, nasty stuff that comes out of our intestines. That oh well. It was one of those bugs that comes from our intestines that E. coli. It was a variant of E. coli that they spliced into there to hurt us. Now, I'm not going to blame the Chinese, not the Chinese people, certainly. But I am going to tell you that our billionaire oligarchs are they're running the Chinese. They're running almost everywhere. And it's sad because people are being oppressed everywhere. And so the Chinese were used along with our own military were used, and the Ukrainians were part of this too, because Vladimir Putin told us he discovered like 30 or something biolabs on his border, and they were all making wasn't made by the doggone pharmaceutical companies. It was made in the biolabs, the illegal weapons labs around the world. Oh, don't worry. They haven't stopped doing their work. They're working on weaponizing smallpox. Yes, they're working on weaponizing the pox. And they are going to release that upon us if we allow them to continue. It is actually in the Bible as a possible outcome. And it's in there. And you and I have to read the Bible and rise above it and warn people. This is what's coming if you do not repent. If you do not stop shedding innocent blood with your hands and repent and worship the one true God, Yahweh, that's coming. And it's sad. I mean, I read the Bible. I see the horrible outcomes possible. And in the Bible study last night, I had to speak up at the end because I had something to offer that I did not like, and that's Zechariah chapter 5, which tells us about worldwide nuclear war, which is a possibility. I don't know. Maybe I just have eyes for the evil, wicked parts of it, and I do not like that at all. I don't want to be seeing it. I don't want to know about it. Just like the people that are running around politically correct, like most of the members of my family. Don't tell us the truth. Don't tell us that. Tell us happy things. Lie to us. Tell us good lies. We need to return to the structure our founders gave us. We don't have to dominate. We have to unite upon the simple basis of we want our freedom and our liberty. And how are we going to get that? We get that by cutting the heck out of this central government. We get that by making this corporate government illegal, because it's all under the Pope of Rome. We have corporatism today, and we're getting our butts kicked by these corporations. And they oppress us, and they won't give up. And I want you to understand, the worst thing are the attorneys. There's no justice in America, and most of these judges should be put to death. No, I'm not advocating for that. I'm just telling you, for what they've done to the people, this people, that's what they deserve. I really shouldn't have said that. But the fact is that our system is through Great Britain. Great Britain has never released their clutches. They've never released their talons. They've never released us from their death grip. That's Great Britain. That's our number one enemy. Israel's right after that, by the way. And this idea that we're going to have peace by doing a massive boondoggle project across the Bering Sea, that's bullshit. That comes from people who are communist at their heart and soul. It's not going to work. The Bering Sea it's not going to work. We shouldn't be trying to do that at all. They want to put a tunnel under the water. There are earthquakes all the time out there. It's a very shallow bottom. The sea is like 100, 200 feet deep. Oh, look, from Alaska, there's nothing like fresh king crab. Don't get it very often, and it's considered bribe material. I mean, it's that precious. It's that wonderful. Makes lobster look like chicken food. And it's known as the most dangerous catch for a reason. That's because men go out there and they risk their very lives. They get paid well, but they earn every bit of it, especially, when I was a youngster and those guys told me what they did out on those ships with the baseball bats, and they couldn't sleep. They had to keep busting the ice off the deck in order to keep the ship ballast in proper order so they'd be able to float and they wouldn't flip over. So when your life depends upon it, you do not sleep and you keep swinging that baseball bat. And it is cold out there, and the water can be, you're out there in a survival suit, literally, in a survival suit. It'll float you, it'll keep you warm, but that's what you're wearing up on the deck trying to swing this baseball bat. And you only have so many minutes before you got to rest, and you're all out there taking turns, pulling your weight as best you can, and if the other guy's faltering, you pull his too, because all lives are depending upon what you're doing. Lives across the whole planet, not just for human beings, bipeds, whatever you want to call us. I think we're different species, and I think that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. We were placed here last. Adam kind was placed on the earth last. The others were here first. That's right. They were all here, including the blacks were here first. And the Mongolians, the brown man, the yellow man, whatever you want to call it, they were all here first. We were placed here last. Look at the book of Job. And we were placed here and granted dominion. Imagine that. What a gift. Beautiful gem of a place like this. The Garden of Eden, the planet. Oh, wow. Even angels dream about being incarnated. So why? Because they'd like to eat food. We get that pleasure. They don't get that. Our dogs with 200 times the scent detection, flavor, smell detection that we have, get it even better. Which is why I make sure to give her a little bit of all kinds of stuff that I know it's okay for her, because I want her to know I love her, and she gets to try this. This is part of the deal. You get a little bit of what I'm eating, provided it's okay for you. We're saving the chocolate for the last hurrah. I don't look forward to that time or that day, but I will, they want chocolate. My dog loves coffee. You can't do caffeine in an animal. Anyway, look, we need to restore the structure our founders gave us. It is the uniting aspect for the whole country. That is what we should be uniting upon. And forget about these individual things that are happening at the state level right now. Except for this. If you can restore your state government to an organic government and not a corporation registered on Dun & Bradstreet underneath the King of England, which is underneath the Pope, there's only one corporation. I know everybody thinks there's lots of corporations. No, there's just one. It's all under the Pope. It's all centrally controlled. If we can agree upon restoring the original structure our founders gave us, we had it made. And we give the earth, the rest of earthlings, a gift. We straighten ourselves up and we stop bombing the shit out of the little guy abroad. You tell people restoring the structure our founders gave us gives us our republic back. We start with the fulcrum, the pivotal point, the original, real 13th Amendment, which strips the bar bastard attorneys of all of their citizenship and their ability to earn livings here in the country. They are all foreign agents. We get rid of those courts of equity, those courts of, we need common law courts. There are no common law courts. And since 1964, every man that's been convicted in these courts and gone to the big house it's been done under statutory law, not under the Constitution, not under common law, which means we violated their rights. It was a crime to do what we did to them. You don't repay evil with evil. You've got to do some good. And even prosecuting attorneys who are retired, when they find out the truth, the facts, they shudder because they realize they've committed crimes. And they're wondering, how do we make that right? Well, we are going to have to practice the Christian tradition of forgiveness in a big way in this country for sure. But if they don't own up and take responsibility and try to make it right, not just apologize, but try to make it right, and if they don't stop doing it, then we don't forgive them. There is no justice if you're going to do that. You see, they put 2,000 communists in the seminaries here in this country. About the 1800s, by the Civil War, all the seminaries were taken over in this country, and most of the Bible translators, publishers. Now, the proper name version of King James Bible is a proper Bible, and it is the best available today. And if there is a better one, I'll let you know that for sure. But I have to ask you, what's the best version of the Bible? I asked the publisher this at lunch. Of course, you bet I got his attention with that. And I looked at Kirby and I said, it's the one you read. So if you want to read the flowery, floozy one with all of the accolades in it that's not very accurate, go ahead and get it. If you want to read one that's got a different flavor on it, go ahead, read it. I can assure you that with enough reading of that particular version, you're going to want to turn to other versions. Why? Don't worry, the Holy Spirit will take over and will infuse you with all kinds of motivation. That's the way it is. That's the way we want it. It is a very small club, in case you're wondering, and I'm hoping you're part of it. And it's open to everybody, because as it said, every tongue shall confess, every knee shall bow. And so, we've had some tainting of our faith. We've had some spoilers. The FBI has infiltrated my faith. Yes, they've infiltrated everything. They've infiltrated the United States Congress. They've infiltrated that group of men that was going to kidnap the governor of Michigan. She was so important. You realize that was a total FBI plot, and they screwed some men over in that? Maybe 4 or 5 unsuspecting souls. and they had all their men in there? What about January 7th, when the FBI led the insurrection against our government? So we couldn't get a proper procedure in the legislature regarding they violated the Constitution. Mr. Pence is going to go down in history as being one of the biggest traitorous, treasonous rat bastards ever. But if the man confesses, then I say we forgive him. And the confession has to be public, even if he has to pay to get it out there himself, because the mainstream media will not give him airtime for that. Heck, if I was him, I'd approach President Trump and beg him, hey, would you share the stage with me while I apologize to the American people and explain to them what happened, what was done. And he needs to get up there and tell us why he did what he did. Now, please don't get me wrong. I explained it to my uncle, who was the oldest Kent ever in history. And I explained it to my uncle, and he says, well, the man has no choice. Okay. My uncle's wisdom, I'll go by that. I don't think Mike Pence had a choice, but I want to hear what choices he was offered. I want him admitting to the public. And then maybe if I see him in public, I might say hi to him. But as it is right now, if I see him in public, I'm probably going to cock his ass, man. I mean, he hurt our country because he failed to cast the proper vote. And a proper vote would have been that he was not going to certify the election because there were too many dilly-dalliances. There's too much F-O. Too much F-O-ing. Too much effing owing. I can't say it right. I can't get it right. Look, you know what I mean. Mike Pence was faced with a choice. He either cast a vote to certify the election, and his vote was the deciding vote. His vote was the tiebreaker. Or he voted in the other direction, which our Constitution has, we've done this before. Our Constitution is very specific. If it's not certifiable, it goes to the House, to the Congress, the most powerful branch of our government. They are not co-equal. The Supreme Court has exceeded their authority several times over, and they need to be put in their place with the rest of the bar bastards. Your Congress is more powerful than any other branch of the government. More powerful than the Senate. And of course, the legislative branch is one unit, the Senate and the Congress. We need to go back to the direct election of direct election of senators from their state legislatures by their state legislators. The way it worked and the way it has to be is that the people who are elected to their state legislatures, members of their bodies there, they argue among themselves and they choose two representatives from among themselves to go to Washington, D.C. to represent the state governments. It was the state governments that authorized the central government to exist. So we don't have a republic, not until we return to that particular dynamic. And the part I love is that a senator was instantly recallable, could be fired on the spot. If the state legislators got together and said, hey, John McCain, oh, I don't know why I mentioned that name, John McCain didn't vote the way we wanted him to vote. They could recall him back then. They weren't stuck with him. He would have to come back disgraced, and he got to finish off the seat to which he was elected in the state legislature in Arizona. You want to not have any more John McCains? That's how you do it. And John McCain was a bad seed. Him and his father both. They caused a lot of trouble. They were treasonous, traitorous rat bastards. Man, we ought to have an international park to the treasonous, traitorous rat bastards so we can see who they were forever. That should be a nice park. It's going to be big, man, because there's going to be a lot of statues, a lot of life-size bronzes in that. And we need to have explanations, little plaques saying what their sin, their crime, all of that. I hate to see one on me, but oh well. I don't really want to see one on Thomas Jefferson, but he screwed up too. George Washington screwed up. He approved the Jewish faith, the synagogue in Rhode Island. He liked those people. We ended up with getting slavery. We ended up going to a civil war because of that. Yeah, the guy who started the Civil War had to leave the country. He was in the South. He was a Southerner. Judah, I think was his first name. He had to leave the country after the Civil War. He was a treasonous, traitorous rat bastard. We've had a lot of undermining. People get paid by the devil and devil's children to undermine America all the time, every day. And I think that we should just strip all Israeli dual citizens of American citizenship, period. And we should charge them. We should require them to forfeit everything. And we let them leave with their very lives, marked, unable to return for life, unable to do business over here either. Definitely get them out of business. Out of Congress is what I meant to say. Out of the bureaucracy in particular, because it was the communists in our State Department made sure to protect communism around the world. They protected the USSR. They protected the Red Chinese. They made all of the communist stuff, all of that stuff happen around the world. They have taken American might and put the screws to us inside and those outside the country. Imagine having a truth commission inside the United States of America today. Man, how many centuries would it take to process all of that stuff? I think that would be a good, proper position for our higher education institutions once we stop supporting them. We shouldn't be giving them any money at all. They undermined us. And look at the media. And look at what Bill Clinton did. Bill Clinton allowed the media to be taken over by a small group, tiny group of men and women. And he also allowed the pharmacy industry to advertise. They're not allowed to advertise in Europe. No, they aren't. I don't think they are. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe in some countries it's legal. It's a giant conspiracy. And recently somebody introduced a concept which is kind of new to me. He says all these people, Obama, Bush, all of these people that have been presidents and all that, he says they're all Rothschilds under different names. Now the Bushes, I can believe that. The Rockefellers, I can believe that. And we need to put up a cry saying everyone needs to return to their own lands. And we need to tell the people that are inside here, if we catch you in here, we're not going to be giving you a ticket. Certainly not a free airplane ride. We're fed up with you. It is a death sentence. Oh, we could exercise some mercy, but it should be an automatic death sentence in short order. And of course, if a judge finds there's really good circumstances and we have a confession perhaps, and we have some cooperation from the criminal, then the judge can have some mercy. Or maybe we should do it with I'd rather the judges, because I'd rather them hang some of those people than some of the doggone juries that would let them free, because juries have more mercy. But the jury nullification is what we need to embrace again in this country. And we need to force them to take every trial to a jury trial. And if they don't want to do it, then they can't take us to trial. They have bastardized the law profession, the legal profession in this country. There is no justice. There isn't. And we have to stop participating. I think I'll be setting another example of that myself here in short order. But I have to go through the process and the procedure. So, I wish you a very happy day today. And in case you're wondering, what I do not appreciate is today is United Nations Day. The hell is that doing on my birthday? I do not like that organization. The CASA control everything. They have stolen everything. The most wealthy man on the face of the earth into the 20th century at the turn from 1899 to the year 2000 was the Tsar of Russia. He earned that, well, he got it legally. He inherited it. And he was a good man. He saved America in our revolution and in our Civil War. The Tsars of Russia saved us, baby. We owe the Russian people. You need to wake up, smell the roses while you can. Because we don't want to be poking the bear anymore. We want to unite with our brothers. They're good people. They actually have it better over there than we have it here. Stop believing the lie that we're the bravest and most free nation on the earth. Oh, hell no. The people in the Orient all know this is a slave system. That's why they're willing to tolerate their communism, because it's not quite a slave system. What we have is a bunch of free-range slaves, thanks to the 14th Amendment in particular, that Abraham Lincoln, it was not put through legally. It wasn't voted upon. The South did not have representation when they forced the 14th and 15th Amendments through. And the South was smarter than we were. They could have straightened everything out for us if we'd have just embraced them and just... But we sent the carpetbaggers, the Kaza, I don't want to call them Jewish carpetbaggers. There's a lot... Oh, I need to get to this. I meant to cover this earlier. I mentioned it, alluded to it. In the battle against Jerusalem, all nations are going to gather together. And it's not going to go the way we think. From what I read, half of the people in Jerusalem are going to get killed. Flat out. Half of the people are going to be taken into captivity. Flat out. That to me is 100%. But at that point, Yahweh steps in and fights for the real Israelites, not these fake Jews, not these fake Israelis. These Israelis are all liars and thieves. They're genocidists. They're sons of the devils for the most part. 90% or more. Yeah, they all want to kill off the Palestinians. They'll genocide the rest of the world if they get the chance. Don't kid yourself. They read the Bible too. They know that river is supposed to be filled with blood over there. You realize how many humans would have to be drained of their blood to fill that river up, to fulfill that scripture? Billion. That's the closest thing I have. Somebody out there may do a calculation and may study it and come up with something better. If you do, definitely chime in. But the main thing I'm getting at is that Yahweh steps in because of a residue that never left Jerusalem. There's got to be a handful of old families there that never left. And he's stepping in to save them. The tribe of Judah is okay, just like the tribe of Israel is okay. There's nothing wrong with those who say they're Jews and are really Jews, descendants. There's nothing wrong. And those people that are in their proper, well, they're in the proper religion, will understand the first 5 books of the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, and the importance of those. And we are going to be looking for them because we outnumber them vastly. And it says in there that we will march arm in arm back to the promised land. What does it take in the northern hemisphere to make everybody want to go back to the promised land? Would it take a thermonuclear war, making everything toxic so you can't inhabit it? And America is going to be more toxic than any other place on the planet, thanks to the cobalt bombs that Elon Musk was allowed to produce with every one of his cars. And the batteries in his cars have got cobalt. Once it's irradiated, it's poisonous for a lot longer than standard clean nuclear weapons. They are going to poison North America forever if we allow them to pop off nukes here. If we allow them to irradiate the batteries that are in Tesla cars, we are screwed. All the species are screwed. This continent will poison the rest of the planet alone. The cobalt being irradiated will just leach out. So join me. Join me. The earth groans for her saviors. Yahweh wants his children to return to him. Yahweh wants that personal relationship with each of us so that he can show us what he wants us to do. May Yahweh bless.